What is up, guys? Logan here again with another video coming at you. I want to say thank you guys for all the support, as it means the world to me. We're at 4,200 subscribers, right around that area, so I appreciate every single one of you guys, for real. It's the coolest thing ever. Seriously, like, I cannot thank you guys enough. Make sure to check the links in the description. Free Robinhood stock. We also have the link to the Discord to join. We have the premium Discord for some callouts. So in this video, I'm going to talk about my long-term stock portfolio and show you guys all my positions, why I have them, between the 14 stocks that I currently hold. Now, a couple of them are free stocks, so we'll talk about those too. We'll go into in-depth of why I hold these positions, why I like them a lot, and why they might be a good add to your portfolio as well. So let's just hop into that, but I do want to show you guys this real quick. This is my credit spread swing over the weekend. Sold the 366 SPY put, bought the 364 SPY put. I had two of the contracts, put up 400 in collateral, made 16 bucks when I woke up today. So I already rolled that money into a different stock, even though this hasn't fully expired yet. We have $12 of run room, almost 13. So I'm really confident in it now, and if it does start to fall close to close, I can always close it early. So let's hop right into this one. But like I said, check the links in the description, CBD website down there, and my music as well. So I'd appreciate if you guys check that out, as we're almost at 500 monthly listeners on Spotify. Make sure you leave a like and subscribe on this video, and let's get right into it. So the first stock that I hold, and this is one of the first stocks that I ever bought, is Apple. Now, I had bought shares pre-split. I owned 4 shares pre-split, and then I've added 2.5 shares since then, since they split back in September, mainly with my trading profits for the weeks, right? So I have a market value of about $2,363.86 on them. They're about 10% of my long-term portfolio, and I'm up 131%, up about $1,340. So this is a stock that I wish I bought more of. I love Apple. Their market cap is huge at $2.22 trillion. They have a tiny dividend. They're a little growth dividend stock, but I've become more bullish on Apple as of lately because of their iCar that they're gonna roll out in the next couple of years. So I'm really curious to see how we move. They also have their earnings coming up, so I think it's a great pickup to see how they react to their earnings. It's just not the craziest amount of money. This was when I started investing back in the day, where money was really hard for me to come by. And you know, it took a long time for me to make enough money to buy Apple's pre-split price, right? When they were trading at like 300, closer to 4. So I was really lucky to get Apple back in the day for an average cost of 181 pre-split, which in today's money would make it about 55.32 between my position overall. So that's my Apple position. I love this stock. I have an iPhone. I think they're a fantastic company. And as you can see right here, buying Apple stock instead of an iPhone made me enough profit than if I wanted to go buy an iPhone, or 2 even, because after a couple of years, or after a phone being out for 1 year, you can get it for 600 bucks. So I could go and buy 2 iPhones now with my Apple profit instead of buying a brand new iPhone when they came out. Right when this guy came out, I bought some stock instead, and I bought this phone, and then I also have enough to where the shares would have covered it as well. So sometimes buying the stock instead of the product can pay off pretty well. So this is one of my few negative investments of all time. This is Energy Transfer. They're currently $6.93. They're down 42% on my 40 shares. I bought them before the market crashed back in March, and I bought these shares about a year ago, like January 2020, down 42%, but I'm not worried. You guys know I do a lot of trading, so I've taken bigger losses than this on an options trade. So I'm not worried. They brought their dividend back. They're worth $19 billion. As you guys can see below, I have 2 dividend payments from them that went from when they reinstated their dividend. So I'll take it. I mean, their new dividend amount's only 15 cents per share, but I'm not too worried about this $276, as I'll hold ET. I think they have some room back to the upside, but I did buy them back here like December, January-ish, and then I've averaged my cost down in a couple shares when the market crashed in February. Little did I know that we could have got them for even cheaper with the whole COVID pullback. This is one of my other positions, one of the few that I'm negative on, and I'm really not too worried about it because it's not a lot of money. So this is a third stock that I hold in my portfolio, one of my bigger holdings, which is AT&T. So I hold them strictly for their dividend of over 7%. I know they have a lot of corporate debt, but I still like AT&T over the long term because they have so much business. They're such a big company at $203 billion. So if we look right here, I'm down $421, or about 8%, 8 to 9% on my shares, but I'm not too worried because it's a dividend stock. So when they drop, I just buy more. And I have a pending dividend for owning 143 shares when I did on the 11th for a payout of $74.37. Now if we hop back, you can see I now own 148, and this dividend hasn't even been reinvested yet because I've added a couple more shares since then, which I did last week with some of my profits from my credit spreads. So this is a nice stock for me. I want to get about $100 every 3 months is my goal. Just around 200 shares I'd love to own, because at that point that would take care of one of my bills, which would be my phone bill. So AT&T's dividend could take care of my phone bill. And that's just a little fun game I like to do with dividends, is see, you know, how much of my dividend income can take care of my bills. And I just think it's a really fun thing, right? Like just using your dividend stocks to support your lifestyle, right? Even if I don't use it to pay for my phone bill, I still reinvest it, and then I'll make even more with having more shares. I'll get more dividends. So it's just a really cool little like money cycle that I like to talk about. Nothing too fancy here. This is Voog. I own 2 shares, just over 2 shares. I bought 2 of these back in the day at 178 before the market crash, if we go back a year ago. So my average cost is 178 on them. I was buying them back here like late January. Yeah, right around this day. I'm pretty sure I bought them on like the 27th, around then. Then the market crashed. They fell all the way down to 128 area. Then they rallied up to where their high is 225. Actually, they did hit 230 a couple weeks ago. So that is their high. And I'm currently sitting up 28.61%, which is fantastic. And I like to have index funds. I like to hold them even though I have so little shares, because it helps me track the market. So it's a good stock for the long term, and I really like Voog. In the last 5 years, it's returned 137%. So I think this is a fantastic ETF to hold for the long term. I really do. It's one of the cool, safer ones, and it outperforms VU every year, which is really nice as of right now. So keep that in mind too, but this is just my position. I have just about 500 bucks in market value. I threw around 400, just under 400 in. It's really cool. I think it's a cool position. I do wish I added more here as well. And I think everybody should hold a couple shares of an ETF just to help them with their overall portfolio. Now this is my big boy investment right here. This is Tesla, 50% of my portfolio. We're up $10,200 on it, 432%. I threw 2,300 at this, hoping that within 5 years it would hit 1,500 pre-split. I copped a couple shares on a day that it was rallying, so even if I would have waited to buy the day after when it fell a couple more percent, or waited for the COVID pullback, I'd have an even nicer return. But I cannot complain about turning 2,300 into 12,540 right here, as you guys can see. And this has been super volatile. I've had days where Tesla alone had caused me to be down 1,000, but also up 1,000, but overall we're up 10,000. This is a company too where with Tesla, I do think they're a little overvalued here, but the worth is there, and I love Tesla, and this is something that, you know, I expected honestly to have like $10,000 invested into this thing. I did not expect the price to ramp up like it did, which has just caused me to hold what I had, but I'm still up an incredible amount. So I'm super grateful for that. So thank you, Elon. So this stock right here is VGT. This is the Vanguard ETF that has had a crazy return over the last 5 years, 256%. I picked these shares up before the COVID crash, so I'm up 36% on just one share and a little bit of like a fractional piece too, but it's a super small part of my portfolio. As I really just use this to track the tech market. This just helps me a lot. Owning a share, you know, you can kind of tell when you wake up. I'll check this and just see how the morning's looking. Like, hey, how is tech looking today? Because this is such a heavily tech sectored fund where like Amazon and Apple make up the largest portions of it. And we also have Microsoft, Facebook, but these are all the tech stocks in one fund. And you know how crazy tech has been over the last few years. So we're looking at 256% in 5 years, one share. I can't complain. I'm pretty happy with it, but this is a pretty good holding, I think. Then we have Realty Income, which is another one of my favorite stocks. We're down about 0.85% today. My average cost is $55.49 on them. I got them cheap when the market pulled back, but I've been averaging as I pick up more shares these days just to have more shares, right? Smaller part of my portfolio right here with Realty Income, but we're almost at 16 shares and I get paid monthly dividends on it. So I'm up 4% on my shares all time, which is just 42 bucks, but they pay a really nice dividend. And if we come down here, you can see that my last dividend was reinvested today actually for $3.58. Now I own 15.86 and I plan on adding more shares over the next few months and through the rest of the year. And I really hope I can get this dividend to about 30 bucks a month, something like that, right? And then I can have a really consistent amount of dividends coming in every month from this fund, and whether I just have it rebuy shares for me, or if I take dividend reinvestment off and maybe find a different fund to put it in, maybe an ETF. So I can just keep my money low risk, put it into different stocks that still have really good room to grow over the long term, but still have income coming in off of them, and I can still keep my main focus on credit spreads. So this is another one of my absolute favorite stocks out there. This is Arbor Realty Trust. It's $14.34 a share. I bought shares at an average cost of $4.70, and then it got bumped up to $5.38 with the last 11 shares that I purchased, all because of dividend reinvestment, and then some of my options profits rolled into this. So with 111 shares, I'm up 166%. I bought this during the pullback back in March. So I actually got these the last week of March, and the first week of April I grabbed some shares. So up about 1,000 on these guys, but just a really simple $600 investment. Now we're $1,600. I really do wish I would have put more. If I would have put more in at the COVID pullback, I'd be getting really nice dividends. Last dividend payment from them was $34.03, and the two prior to that were $30 and $32.08. A $400 investment in April paid me $30 the first month. I think that's fantastic. If I would have invested 40 grand, I would get 300 at that time. So we'll fly through this one kind of fast. Coca-Cola, I own 4 shares, average cost of $50.74, down 4.5%. Only threw like 200 bucks into this 1 week with my profits. So I like their dividend, and they make a lot of great products, right? They have Dasani water. You have Coca-Cola. I mean, they own so many brands between food and drink. So I think it's a fantastic stock to hold. It's kind of like my inner Warren Buffett, just like buy Coca-Cola, just own some. So I just own a couple shares just cause. Maybe I add more down the road, but this is more of just a fun to hold dividend stock for me. And this stock's another one of my favorite holdings that I have. This is Simon Property Group, or SPG. I have a dividend pending of $2.90. That was when I owned 2.229 shares. Now I own 2.53. I'm up 37% of my position. I bought this like the week before we got the vaccine news, so it popped. I've been throwing just some of my profits in it, like that spread that I did this morning. I rolled that $16 into this, right? The one that I bought before the weekend. So I threw it into here, and this will continue to pay me a dividend, hopefully for the rest of my life, as I plan to hold these shares pretty much forever. That's the plan, at least. So they're 1% of my portfolio, but I'll continue to average up and buy more shares to where my dividends are more exciting. And I'd love to get this to like $29, right? I think that would be really cool. Instead of $2.90. So we'll see, you know, $20 to $29 would be really cool for this dividend. So I'm just gonna keep adding to this over time. My average cost 67, now it's 92. So I bought it back here. And so I'm just gonna continue to hold them, and I like them for a dividend stock. Carnival Cruise Lines. So I'm up 2.62%. I made this video yesterday talking about I want to invest 3 grand in these stocks in 2021. So I threw 1,000 in today into Carnival, which makes up 4.14% of my portfolio. And like I stated in yesterday's video, I think they're just beaten down so much. And with the vaccines coming out, people are gonna start going back on vacation once the cruises go from being suspended to back up and going. I got in at literally the low today. I mean, it doesn't even show that it got that low. I bought at $20.64, 49 shares, so I just threw 1,000 in, or right around 1,000. Hopefully they bring their dividend back, and I like them for the long term. I think this stock will be a doubler for me. I'm gonna throw some more at it. I wanna get up to like 3 grand between the cruisers, and maybe I throw the other 2 grand into this, and just have a really nice return when everything gets back to normal for them. So I'm patient on this play. There's no hurry or worry for me here. Honestly, I'd prefer it to drop over the next couple of weeks so I can put my other 2 grand in at a better price than I would have got this morning. So we'll see. We'll see what happens with it. That's just me breaking down my long-term portfolio. Thank you guys for all the support. I hope this helps you kind of gauge how your long-term stock portfolio is coming, because I think everybody should have one. And I think everybody should take their stock trading profits, and instead of just trying to build that amount over and over, I think it's important to take at least some of your profit and buy shares for the long term, so that if there's a week you choose to sit out of the market, or maybe a month, you have these shares that can continue to make you money in the background while you live your life, right? So I know it's helped take the stress off me of trading all the time, and it's also helped me build this nice long-term portfolio with good gains, so I just don't have money sitting, but at the same time I'm not too invested to where I would get super nervous, right? So that's what's really cool. When you invest profits as well, you don't get emotional with that money like you would with the money that you worked really hard for throughout your life, right? So that's just one thing, and one thing to look at and take into consideration is when you're buying these shares, when you're buying these stocks, and I really think it's important for everybody to have a long-term stock portfolio, because these returns that I'm seeing on some of these shares are just unmatched, and it's a lot less risky than buying option calls all the time or doing options in general. So this is something really cool to see. I like Carnival. I should have bought a call this morning on them. That would have been cool. I'm buying shares. So hope you guys have a fantastic day. Don't forget to leave a like and subscribe on this video. Thank you for all of the views on the last couple of videos, especially the one that I'm donating half the ad revenue from. So I really appreciate that, and I appreciate all the support. Don't not forget to subscribe on this video, and I will see you guys in the next video. Take care.